You are going to notice technically we have advanced ever so slightly. Tonight I have my assistant and her name is Birgit. Next week she's going to be presented by me. This week she did not want to be, she wanted to practice to be an assistant this evening. All right, tonight I have promised you that I will cook for you Emirati rice. And before I start, I'm going to present myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alexandra von Hahn. And I am at the moment in a working kitchen in the desert. And you will notice that very closely that it's terribly hot in here. We've switched off the air conditioning in order to be able to broadcast live. Otherwise the air conditioning is very, very loud and you will not be able to hear me. So if you see me sweating, it has nothing else to do other than that it's very, very warm tonight. We're probably approaching anywhere between 27 and 35 degrees and a little higher inside the homes. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to ask Birgit, my assistant, if you were so kind, to come just around the table. And I'm going to explain to you what I have here on my working table in the desert. For those of you who don't know where exactly in the desert, we're out on the outskirts of Halifa. So for those of you who know Halifa, we're effectively on the outskirts. So if you're ready, get a pen and paper. We have here 2 cups of basmati rice. And for those of you who want to know what type of basmati rice I'm using tonight, I'm using one which is a mid-sized basmati grain. And some of you may wish to have a longer basmati grain size, and that you could choose Tilda, T-I-L-D-A, if you so wish. You can actually, for those of you who are not in the UAE, you may opt to order via Amazon. You can order Indian rice, and you can order the high quality rice, for example, Tilda from Amazon, which is what I do when I'm in Germany. Now, in addition to the rice that I've just shown you here, I'm going to be using the following spices and herbs. We have 1 laurel leaf, 5 cardamom pods. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the cardamom pods, I am hoping to be able to open this. And if not, then you're going to, in fact, when you buy them, well, it's very difficult to open them this time. Okay, here we go. We have seeds inside. Now, we're using both the shell and the seeds. You may want to pound them just to open them prior to throwing them into the pot while the rice is cooking. Or you may opt to buy the powdered version of your cardamom, although that is not recommended. The pods have the flavor and the tang to it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful fragrance, by the way. In the past, the cardamom was used to dilate lungs when you had a cold or a flu. They're wonderful dilators, and especially today, if you so wish to do it, just throw them open in a pot of hot water and inhale it. All right. Now we're going over to the star of anise. You're going to be putting 1 star of anise into the 2-cup rice and 1.5 liter of boiling water. And here we have the clove. Now, if you want to exude the fragrance, you remove the cap of the clove in order to have the flavors or the flavor of the clove exude through the rice as well. So I'm going to put the cap over there and the clove here. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what is this? This is what Indians, or here in the Emirates, in the Gulf area, instead of the cinnamon that you are used to, they use something very similar to cinnamon, but it's called cassia. You see, this is a bark, not very pretty, but very interesting. The fragrance is very similar, very close to a cinnamon. The cinnamon is a little stronger, a little more pungent. The cassia is used for cooking purposes predominantly, and not a lot of it. This is the type of cinnamon, or actually officially cassia, where you don't want to be consuming too much. This is why for this recipe we're using a small piece. Now, you're going to be writing down as well, sorry about this, 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of sea salt into 1.5 liters of water. And why so much salt? The rice, or the basmati rice in this particular for this particular recipe, needs to have flavor. Now, how much salt or how much water, that doesn't really matter. What is important is that when you taste The water, it will taste close to as if you were going into the ocean and tasting the water from the ocean. Not as salty, but relatively close to that, in order to have the rice have its flavors come out during, or actually when, you know, while it's cooking. Now, what do I have here? I have clarified butter or ghee made from vegetables or from milk cow, whichever one you want to use. I'm using the vegan version, and you can use the one made from milk, from cow milk. And there's a close-up here. I'm using 2 tablespoons of ghee, which I'm going to be putting into the rice while it's cooking. And why am I doing it? This is going to give a rounded flavor to the rice, which is what the Emiratis absolutely want in their rice. And I'm going to move over slowly to the pot of hot water, together with the 2 cups of rice. And I'm going to be asking my assistant to come a little closer. I'm going to be pouring the rice into the hot water. Now, and I'm going to be adding as well the 1.5 tablespoons of salt. We stir it a few times during cooking, otherwise it will stick to the bottom of the pot. Now, for this particular video, I'm not going to wait until this is cooked. This may take anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes. However, the way it's cooked, which is very important. Now you see that I'm actually stirring a little longer. It's sticking to the bottom of the pot. Now, you've also witnessed 2 things here. The rice has not been pre-soaked before. And why have I not pre-soaked it for a half an hour? These are for all of us who are in a hurry and who would like to still enjoy eating basmati rice. You can wash it, which is what I did before, and I dried it or air dried it, and you can throw it directly into the hot water. This will take a little longer as far as the cooking process is concerned. If you had, or if I had, pre-soaked the rice before, the cooking session will, or the cooking time will have reduced anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes. And another advantage, if you pre-soak the rice a half an hour before cooking, the grains will become a little longer and a little fluffier. However, you can still enjoy eating basmati rice. Now, I'm going to ask my assistant Birgit to wait here. I'm going to come with the clarified butter and my spices. Okay, now you can write this down. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of clarified butter into the water. And you know that fat carries the flavor, and this is exactly what's happening right now. And I'm going to add 1 laurel leaf, 4 cardamom pods, whether they're open or not, it doesn't matter. 5 actually, 5. I'm going to remove, hopefully this is going to work. Here we go. The top part here, the top part of my clove. This one has, the cap has been removed. 1 star of anise goes in there too. And a piece, let's say it's an inch in length and half an inch in width of cassia. Or if you don't have cassia at home, then use a small piece, even smaller than this, of your cinnamon. Now, if you don't have clarified butter, you can replace it with your regular butter. Now, if you don't like cardamom, then just simply omit it. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stir it again. And the rice will be cooking for approximately for the next 10 minutes, perhaps even 12 minutes at medium-low fire. However, there's a procedure. While it's cooking, this is what I do. I would normally have a lid without, this is what I'm going to show you now, without the tea towel. I'm not going to close it. I'll just leave it like that. And the next procedure, this is what you're going to remember. And I'm going to ask Birgit to come over. Halfway through the cooking, about 5 to 6 minutes into the cooking, you are going to test the rice, just like you do when you cook noodles, especially in Italy or anywhere else around the world. If you're aware of of the following. You want your rice al dente. You don't want it cooked through. So what you do, you press through, and this is what you will get halfway through. It is soft on the outside, but slightly grainy on the inside. And this is what you're looking for when you're cooking rice in the Gulf area or in the Emirates, where I am right now. And if you're in Iran or in Afghanistan, it's the same procedure. You want your rice to be al dente. Now, this is what we normally do when we cook our rice, our basmati rice. You press it and it will break, and you feel it slightly soft on the outside and slightly grainy from the inside. And at this stage, this is when you use a colander and you pour the rice, which is, I cannot do it now because the rice will have to cook for the next 10 or 12 minutes. What you do, you pour the rice once it's done halfway through, anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes. You allow the water to pour out, and you take another pot and add 2 tablespoons again of clarified butter into the pot. Make sure that you spread the clarified butter at the bottom of the pot, and you tumble over the rice, the pre-cooked rice or al dente basmati rice, into the pot. You close the lid, and this is what you're going to be using. I'm going to be moving over to this side. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to cover the lid with a tea towel. This is what you're going to do. The excess humidity from the rice will then be absorbed by the tea towel. Now, I'm not going to place it back onto my rice that I'm cooking currently because that is not done yet. So I'm going to open it up again and place the lid halfway so they'll continue cooking. However, I have rice that I prepared for you, and this rice has been in fact cooking at very low fire with a diffuser after it's cooked for 5 or 6 minutes, which means it was al dente. I pour the water out and I have it at very low fire, as you can see, with a diffuser. Place the pot on top, and I've had it now cooking away and steaming away for the last 15 minutes. Now I'm going to take a spoon, and you're going to see it's very fluffy. Very, very fluffy. And the grains have increased in size. Now let's see if I can take one in my hand here without even burning myself. There we go. These are the long grains in comparison to the grains when we had them raw. So more or less, they're not double in size. They're about 1.5 times. When you pre-soak the rice, they're often double the size, which means even fluffier. So I'm going to just put the rice to the side. Now, I'm going to also show you the bottom of the pan. Look how beautiful it is. It's crispy. The rice has become crispy. And that's the whole intention. This is the intention of why we use ghee or clarified butter or regular butter in your case if you don't have ghee, at low fire with a diffuser, and you get your crispy rice. This is beautiful, very, very flavorful and very, very tasty. Okay, as you can see, it's already starting to become very crispy. I'm going to turn the fire off, or the flame. There we go. Okay, now it's off. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to put the lid back on again. What I am going to do now, I'm going to go back to our pot. That's where the rice has been boiling. And let's see if we've reached the al dente level or not. Very, very hot. This is the way to do it. Now, for those of you who are wondering why my hands are still with henna, or actually the henna is now coming off. About a week ago, I attended an Emirati wedding. And before attending an Emirati wedding, the women have the henna or design placed on their hands, their arms. And I had my hands done just before going to the wedding. And unfortunately, after a week or a week and a half, the henna comes off, which is very normal. Because, for me, it means, I'm waiting for the next wedding to be 29 minutes. Go back to the beauty salon, have mine, and it's done. Okay, now I can touch it, and let's see if it's on the side. This is al dente. There we go. We've reached the al dente level. Soft from the outside, and inside slightly grainy. That's exactly how you want it. So for those of you who are into cooking Iranian rice, it's very similar, if not. So let me show you. I'm going to give you the procedure on how to pour the rice. Here we go. Okay, we're going to switch this off now. There we go. So you can see. Good. Okay. Have a look at the rice. The rice water has all the spices and the laurel leaf. Now they will stay in the rice. Now some of you don't want it, so you can actually do a bouquet, meaning that you're going to wrap it in a cheesecloth and put it into the rice the French way. However, the flavors they don't reach all of the rice kernels. I prefer loose in the cooking water. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pour the water away. So, it doesn't matter. You will leave the rice in here as I'm doing it right now. I'm going to place the pot here and I will come back with more clarified butter. Now, here we go. I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of clarified butter, which the rice is going to require. Now, if you don't have clarified butter, you can use regular butter, or you can also use oil. Make sure that you use a diffuser because the oil burns the rice just a little quicker. It seems to just burn often, unless you lower the fire to its lowest. Now here we go. I have the clarified butter here, and I can pour the rice right back into the pot with everything, with all these spices and the laurel leaf. Here we go. I'm going to put it back onto the element. And I will put the fire on again. Actually, we have a gas stove here, and it's on very low. And I'm going to add the diffuser. Oh, I hope we still have gas. Yes, we do. There we go. So I'm putting the diffuser, the pot on top, and I'm going to show you again once more. I'm going to wrap the lid into a tea towel. One knot and the second knot. You may want to do a third knot. This is just in case you don't want it to catch fire. So this is quite snug and tight. Put it on top, and it's going to be done in the next 10, I would say go for 50. And when it's on low fire, I'm going to put it on even lower. There we go, on very low fire, and the flavors will simply be rounded up once you leave it there for anywhere between, I would say 15-20 minutes, which is wonderful. Let's go back to the rice that's finished, and I'm going to plate it for you. There we go. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to bring the plates. Now we're going to plate it the Emirati way. I have coriander, chopped coriander. Parsley is not used regularly here. Coriander is their preferred herb. And I'm going to use this ladle here and plate the plates. Now here, I'm going to plate the rice first with all the spices. This is to show the guests what you have used. Not all Emiratis use all these spices, but this is the standard way of cooking the rice, which is, in fact, you're going to wonder, it's very close to the Indian way of cooking the rice as well. Emirati dishes are a fusion of Indian cooking methods and cooking ingredients, and a fusion, between Indian and Iranian. So this is, and Emiratis have their own flavors through the fusion. So this is, we leave it like this. And this is so simple, so beautiful. What's important is that your platter also tells a story. These are the waves of the sand dunes. This is why I've chosen this particular platter. And there we go. Just sprinkle a little bit of coriander around it. There we go. And then you can clean the exterior as well if you wish, or you can leave it on. There we go. And what I have prepared for this evening, although the recipe will be given to you next week, and that is I've made a vegetable stew. The vegetable stew is an Emirati stew, which is called saluna. It's vegetable saluna. A stew is saluna, which is what you would get once you are in the United Arab Emirates, and if you should join the folkloric traditional festivals, you would again get different types of saluna. This is typical a vegetable saluna with fish. Now for tonight, I'm just going to give you the sauce. Here, 1 minute. I'm going to bring a plate. All right. So the way it's done, it's I'm going to take another spoon. Here we go. And you will plate your own plates with a little bit of coriander, which gives a lot of flavor. This is to give you a sample idea. And the sauce. I need another ladle. The ladle is here. There we go. The sauce consists of the 7 spices and the Emirati spices, as well as the Indian, they call the Indian pumpkin, which is could be zucchini. It could also be any other vegetable that you so wish. But the recipe you will get next week. So here we go. We will pour it on top. Now this is where you would wonder, well, here in the Middle East, in the Gulf area, most often than not, you will have the opportunity to eat with locals. And the locals eat with their clean right hand. Now I'm going to show you how that's done. It's very hot for the time being. I'm going to give myself a little more rice. There we go. Okay, what is this called in Arabic? Here in the Emirates, they call it logma, which is one mouthful. And here we go, which means you press it and you push it with your thumb into your mouth. I'm going to show this to you. It's very, very tasty. And it's not messy. You will try not to, I hope I don't have anything around my mouth, but a logma means you eat slowly. You play with your food a little. It's not playing. You're getting used to touching it. And they like to touch, smell, and look at the food. Meaning they like to touch it, press it. And this is what causes Emiratis, in this case for those of you who are eating with your hands, to eat slowly. And there's no hurry. You don't shove your food into your tummy. You go very slowly. And they don't eat very much, by the way. You will notice most women, they don't. So this was one logma, as we would say one biter or one handful. So I'm going to put this down and let me just wash my hands. Now, I hope that you have enjoyed this evening's recipe, Emirati rice, Emirati rice cooking method, and the way Emiratis eat their rice. They prefer to eat it with the hands. Of course they eat with a spoon, but traditionally with the hands, and they still do it today. And I can appreciate it. I have learned to eat with my hand, with my right hand as well, and I have enjoyed it since. It's been over 7 years or 8 years that I've been with Emiratis on a yearly basis, through the research for my first book, The Culinary Magic of the Emirates, and now for my second book, Emirati Man Cooking. So it's part of my life right now, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So for those of you who are interested in watching my next broadcasting, anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes next week, saluna, and I hope that you will enjoy it. All right.